There comes a moment in every life when silence becomes deafening, not because the world is quiet, but because your soul starts asking questions you can't ignore anymore. Is this all there is? Is this the life I'm meant to live? And if you've ever heard that quiet, aching whisper within, then you've already met the architect inside you, waiting for permission to build. Not survive, build. See, life is not something you stumble through hoping to land somewhere good. It's something you design. And if you don't pick up the pencil and draw the blueprint, someone else will. And I promise you, they won't build it for your dream, they'll build it for theirs. Before you ever swing a hammer, before a single brick is laid, the architect first sits with the blueprint. And so it must be with your life. You can't build what you haven't first imagined. You can't discipline yourself into something that has no shape. See, discipline without design is like running with no direction, fast and focused, but going nowhere. I've met men who worked harder than most, yet ended up with very little, not for lack of effort, but for lack of clarity. There was a time early in my career when I thought hustle alone would buy my freedom. I was saying yes to everything, every opportunity, every invitation, every task. But the more I moved, the more I felt stuck. One night, exhausted and broke, I sat with a yellow legal pad and wrote down a question. What am I really trying to build? That question saved my life. Because in answering it, I began to draw the lines of my own blueprint. I didn't want just money, I wanted freedom. I didn't want just work, I wanted meaningful work. And that decision changed everything. As the Stoic Epictetus once said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. That's the foundation. Design first. Once you have a vision, discipline becomes a tool, not a torment. It becomes the hammer, not the prison. Let me ask you, what does your life look like on paper? Have you drawn the lines? Do you know the shape of your days, your finances, your relationships 5 years from now? If you don't, then don't be surprised when you end up living by someone else's design. The world will hand you a blueprint if you don't draw your own. Because in life, as in architecture, no one builds a masterpiece by accident. Once you've laid out the blueprint, once you've decided what your life ought to look like, you must pick up the tool sand, take full responsibility for building it. You are the builder, not the government, not your boss, not your parents, not the economy, you. The moment you wait for someone else to build your life, you hand over your power. And when power leaves your hands, so does progress. I remember a young man who once asked me, how do I find a mentor who'll change my life? I said, that's the wrong question. You don't find someone to change your life. You become someone worth mentoring. Responsibility isn't a burden, it's a liberation. When you accept that you're in charge, you also accept that you're free to move, to grow, to change. Responsibility means no more blame. If the business failed, what did you miss? If your finances are weak, what haven't you learned? If your health is suffering, what choices have you made? Now, this kind of self-honesty can sting, but it's the sting that wakes you up. It's the pain that produces change. As Seneca once said, a gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. So don't resent the difficulty. Use it, learn from it, rise because of it. Years ago, when I first decided to take my life seriously, I made a vow I would never again say, that's not my fault. Because whether it's your fault or not, if it's in your hands now, it's your responsibility. That's how a builder thinks. The rain might delay the project, but the builder doesn't blame the cloud. She adjusts the schedule, lays the tarp, and keeps the plan alive. If you want to architect the life you deserve, start by taking full ownership of the ground beneath your feet, because no one else is coming to build it for you. Once you've designed the blueprint and claimed full responsibility for building it, there's a question left that decides whether the structure ever rises. Do you have the discipline to lay one brick after another, day after day? Because discipline, my friend, is the cement. Without it, even the grandest vision crumbles under the pressure of life's wind and weather. Discipline holds it all together. I've met many people with brilliant plans, wonderful ideas. They can talk for hours about what they want. But dreams without discipline are just well-dressed wishes. The bridge between what you imagine and what you experience is built from consistent effort, not random bursts of inspiration, but daily action, especially on the days you don't feel like it. That's the difference maker. Let me tell you, the first year I decided to live differently, it wasn't glamorous. Waking up early, reading the books, working when others rested, saying no to the things that drained my time and wealth, it wasn't easy. But I remembered what Heraclitus said. The soul is dyed the color of its thoughts, and discipline over time dyes your character with strength. You become what you do, not what you intend. I recall a farmer who once told me, every season will test you, but it will also reward you if you stay with it. He wasn't just talking about corn and wheat. He was talking about life. Without the discipline to sow in the spring, water through the summer, and harvest in the fall, you'll have nothing to store in winter. And winter always comes. So the question becomes, can you commit to the process when no one's clapping? Can you do the work when the reward is still far away? Because every life worth living is built on discipline, quiet, powerful, reliable. It may not get headlines, but it will get you results. And in the architecture of life, that's what keeps the walls from falling. One of the greatest gifts you can give yourself as you build the life you deserve is the willingness to learn from those who have already paved the way. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can borrow bricks from the masters, those who have walked the path before you and left behind blueprints of success. Think of it this way. A skilled architect studies the works of others, understanding what stands firm and what falls apart. So should you. When I was young, I made countless mistakes. I tried to learn everything on my own and thought pride meant not asking for help. But the wisest people I met taught me that humility is the foundation of growth. Aristotle once said, "The roots of education are bitter, but the fruit is sweet." It is bitter to admit you don't know everything, but the sweet result is a life built on sound principles. Practical examples are all around us. Take Benjamin Franklin, who famously gathered knowledge from books, mentors, and experience, building a legacy far beyond what any one man could achieve alone. He borrowed wisdom and bricks from philosophy, science, and practical life skills, molding them into his own grand design. In my own life, I found mentors who showed me the ropes, shared their habits, and even their mistakes. I didn't just listen. I observed and applied. That is how you fast-track your success. When you learn from others' successes and failures, you avoid common pitfalls and build on a stronger foundation. This is why constant study and the habit of seeking wisdom is so important. The life you desire is a construction project too grand for a lone builder. Borrow their bricks, stand on their shoulders, and build higher. The master's lessons are timeless. They guide your hand when you falter and illuminate your path when the way seems dark. In the end, it's not about copying others, it's about learning, adapting, and applying. That's how you truly architect a life worth living. If there's one thing that determines whether the house you build stands tall against the storms of life, it's the strength of your foundation. And that foundation isn't made of bricks or mortar, it's your character. Without a strong character, every success you build is vulnerable, every gain temporary. True wealth, true accomplishment begins with who you are inside. I learned this lesson early on in my journey. I met people with talent and opportunity, but their lack of integrity or discipline caused their towers to crumble. Character is the silent architect of your future, the invisible blueprint that guides your actions when no one's watching. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and philosopher, said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Think about a house built on sand versus one laid on rock. Your character is that rock. When challenges as they always do, the strength of your character will keep you upright. This means embracing honesty, humility, patience, and perseverance. These aren't glamorous qualities, but they're essential. They keep your reputation intact, your mind focused, and your heart steady. In my own life, I faced setbacks and temptations to take shortcuts, but I realized no shortcut can outpace a solid foundation. I committed to developing my habits and values daily, knowing that if my character was strong, success would follow naturally. You can see this truth in the lives of the great leaders of the past. Abraham Lincoln, who endured countless failures and criticism, remained grounded by his character and principles. His legacy endures not because of wealth or power, but because of the man he was. So as you architect your life, start from the inside out. Build your foundation with character. It may not be visible at first, but it will hold everything else in place. Without it, your life's masterpiece is built on sand, and sand cannot withstand the test of time. One of the most overlooked but critical aspects of building the life you deserve is the environment you allow around you. Think of your life as a construction site. If you don't guard it carefully, the wrong influences will creep in, erode your progress, and sabotage your vision. The environment is like the air, the soil, and the weather that shape how your structure grows. If the conditions are toxic, no matter how strong your plans or how disciplined your efforts, your progress will be slowed or even destroyed. I've witnessed this many times. Good intentions and great ideas are often derailed by negative influences, people who doubt, distractions that drain, or habits that pull you away from your purpose. Just like a builder doesn't let anyone wander freely on a building site, you must be ruthless about protecting your mental and physical environment. This means cutting ties with those who do not support your vision, creating routines that uplift rather than drain, and setting boundaries that protect your time and energy. Remember what the ancient philosopher Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Your environment is largely within your control, and by choosing it wisely, you control much of how your life unfolds. For example, if you spend time with those who complain and criticize, their mindset will infect you. But if you surround yourself with people who are committed to growth, your mindset will shift naturally toward progress. In my own journey, I learned the hard way. Early on, I gave too much time to distractions and people who weren't aligned with my goals. It was like trying to build a cathedral while the ground beneath was constantly shaken. When I started carefully choosing my environment, what I read, who I listened to, where I spent my energy, I noticed everything changed. My focus sharpened, my enthusiasm grew, and my results multiplied. So protect your construction site with vigilance. The life you are designing deserves an environment that nourishes and strengthens you every day. Guard it fiercely. Time is the most precious resource we have, yet it's also the one most easily wasted. To architect the life you deserve, you must treat time like an architect treats blueprints, with precision, purpose, and unwavering respect. An architect doesn't randomly place bricks or guess where the beams go. Every moment in the plan is deliberate, measured, and accounted for. If you don't master your time, your grandest plans will crumble before they even get started. In life, every hour, every minute is a building block of your future. It is not the hours you spend, but how you use them that matters most. A man who fritters away his days will find that no matter how good his intentions, his dreams will be left unfinished. On the other hand, those who guard their hours and organize their days with intention build something lasting and meaningful. As the ancient Roman philosopher Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." I recall a season early in my life when I was overwhelmed by distractions, social gatherings, idle talk, and endless busy work. I thought I was working hard, but my progress was slow. Then I began to track my time like a craftsman studies his tools. I mapped out my hours with care, focusing on what truly moved me closer to my goals. That change wasn't easy, but it was necessary. Over time, this precision turned what felt like chaos into a steady climb upward. You don't have to make grand changes all at once. Even small shifts in how you manage your day can multiply into extraordinary results. Think of each moment as a carefully placed brick in the structure of your life. Use it well, and you will see your vision come alive exactly as you imagined. Time, once lost, can never be reclaimed. Use it wisely, because the life you deserve is built moment by moment. Chasing goals without a system is like trying to build a house by throwing bricks in the air and hoping they land in the right place. To truly architect the life you deserve, you must develop systems, reliable processes that guide your daily actions and shape your results over time. Goals are important. They give you direction and purpose. But it's the systems you put in place that turn those goals from dreams into reality. Consider the story of a farmer. He doesn't just plant seeds and wait for a miracle. He prepares the soil, waters consistently, weeds regularly, and follows a cycle that ensures a healthy harvest. Similarly, your efforts require a system, a rhythm of habits and routines that consistently push you forward. The great philosopher Aristotle once said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. This reminds us that success isn't a single leap, but the result of repeated intentional actions. In my own journey, I've seen countless people focus solely on hitting targets, a promotion, a sale, or a certain income level. Yet, without a system to support them, these moments are fleeting and progress stalls. I remember a friend who wanted to write a book. He had the goal, but no plan for daily writing or editing. Weeks passed, and the book remained an idea. Once he committed to a system, writing a page every morning, the book took shape steadily and was finished in due course. Your systems don't have to be complicated. In fact, the best ones are often simple and sustainable. They become the framework that holds your life together, ensuring progress even when motivation falters. When you stop chasing goals blindly and start building systems, you create a life designed for lasting success, not just temporary wins. And that, my friend, is the cornerstone of the life you deserve. Every architect knows that building something worthwhile never comes without challenges. Expect resistance, whether it's from within yourself or from the world around you, but build anyway. The walls of your life won't rise smoothly, and the path you carve will be met with obstacles that test your resolve. Yet it is precisely through these trials that the strength of your character and your commitment are revealed. Long ago, the Roman philosopher Seneca taught that difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. When resistance comes, and it will, it's not a sign to give up, but an invitation to grow stronger. I've met many who faltered because they believed smooth sailing was the norm. They thought life should conform to their wishes rather than their willingness to endure. But true architects of life understand that resistance is not the enemy. It's part of the building process. In my own experience when starting out, there were countless moments of doubt and frustration. People doubted my vision, circumstances pushed back, and inner fears whispered to quit. But by recognizing resistance as a natural part of progress, I stayed focused. Like a sculptor chiseling stone, each setback was a strike that revealed more of the masterpiece beneath. It helps to remember that the greatest achievements in history were built on the foundation of persistence through resistance. Thomas Edison didn't invent the light bulb without hundreds of failed attempts. What kept him building was his acceptance of resistance as part of the process. You must do the same. So when you feel the walls shake or the wind howls, remember, resistance is the test that proves you're building something worth building. Keep laying those bricks, keep pouring that cement, and soon you'll stand in the life you designed, forged not in ease, but in perseverance. As we stand here today, remember this: the life you deserve is not a stroke of luck or a gift from fate. It is the masterpiece you create with intention, courage, and relentless effort. Every choice you make, every moment you invest is a brick in the foundation of your future. You are the architect of your destiny, and no one else holds that power for you. The journey will not always be easy there. Will be resistance, doubt, and setbacks. But it is precisely through these challenges that your character is forged, your vision sharpened, and your success secured. Now is the time to take hold of the blueprint you've drawn in your mind and begin building. Start with discipline, nurture your character, guard your environment, and treat every second like a precious resource. Learn from those who've gone before you, but never forget to add your own unique touch. Systems over goals, perseverance over convenience. That is the path of the true builder. Your call to action is simple yet profound. Decide today that you will no longer wait for life to happen to you. Take responsibility, embrace the struggle, and commit to the process of building your life with intention. The foundation is yours to build it strong, build it true, and build it now. Your future self will thank you.